LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has ushered the franchise into a new era. It's easily the biggest LEGO game to date, and the gameplay is also much more fleshed out. But how did the internet and the critics react to this change in direction? Well, let's dive in and find out. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is a bold step for the franchise. LEGO games have always been stuck in this strange limbo land between greatness and licensed trash. After all, they're not exactly the most complex games in the world, and honestly, they don't have to be. These games are targeted towards children, and they're usually churned out in quick succession, prioritizing quantity over quality. Of course, that doesn't mean we haven't had great LEGO games. Actually, far from it. We've seen what Traveler's Tale is capable of making when given time with games like LEGO Marvel Superheroes and the old LEGO Star Wars games. The latest game, however, completely shifts the formula and goes for glory. It's big, it's quirky, and most importantly, it's fun to play. The gameplay mechanics have been completely redone now with an over-the-shoulder perspective. On top of that, the visuals are just stunning and gorgeous, with each individual LEGO structure looking like it belongs in this world. Oh, and don't even get us started on the writing. Yeah, it's all 9 Star Wars movies, but honestly, it's so much more than that. The game is filled with quips and witty dialogue for days, and that not only dissect the movies, but they also make the story really fun to revisit. But enough about what we think of the game. Let's take a look at what everyone else is saying about it. Next up, fans adore the new LEGO Star Wars game. The Skywalker Saga was announced way back in 2019 and slated for release the following year. However, due to the pandemic and troubled development, the game was pushed back by almost 2 years. So naturally, with such a massive delay, people were questioning whether the game would even have coherent gameplay and ideas. However, when we finally got our hands on it, all of our worries were very quickly washed away, as the wait was totally worth it. Launch day was honestly pretty insane of an experience on social media, with literally everyone diving into the game and instantly falling in love with it. Even the opening cutscene of the game was shared all over Twitter and Reddit, just because of how incredibly cool it was with its transitions. And the memes, they were truly immaculate. Seriously, we haven't seen anything like it all year. In fact, this little LEGO game even managed to steal Elden Ring spotlight. The biggest game of the year, by the way. So, funnily enough, most of the initial posts were actually about how the Skywalker Saga is going to destroy everyone else. Of course, all of this was said in a jest. Apart from that, though, people were sharing secret hidden dialogues, character interactions, and a lot of screenshots. For instance, Twitter user ShmellyShmee shared a snippet of Razor Crest dogfighting and called it the perfect game. Kazrisk, on the other hand, had an awful lot of affection for the game's menu and UI, calling it a 10 out of 10 experience. One user, ProYamYamPC, however, even called it Game of the Year. So clearly, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has managed to get into the good books of most people who have picked it up so far. Critics have also reacted positively to The Skywalker Saga. In the press, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has gotten raving reviews, with most websites dishing out positive ratings, and on Metacritic, it's settled down at a score of 82, which is generally considered favorable by the website. As for the big critics, many have spoken about how the game provided a sense of exploration and discovery that no other LEGO game has ever done before this. IGN in particular has stressed out the fact that the game has somehow struck the perfect balance between reimagining iconic Star Wars moments while also seeing them in a dense and vast environment. Other critics like Game Informer have praised the game's story-focused levels and combat and character unlocks. Kotaku, however, went as far as to call it one of the best Star Wars games ever made, pinning it against the likes of Jedi Fallen Order and Knights of the Old Republic. As a result, most of the scores linger between 8 and 9 out of 10, with everyone praising the daring new direction that TT Games has taken. And that's not all though, as the sales numbers also reflects the positive vibe around this game. As a fact, the LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga has managed to sell more than 3.2 million copies within 2 weeks of its release, making it the best-selling LEGO game of all time. And with that said, not everything is rosy and dandy with it. Of course, it still isn't a perfect game. With a Metacritic score in the low 80s, you'd think that there'd be some flaws in the game. After all, it's no Elden Ring, which is a game that's been sitting at an incredible 96 on the aggregate website. And even that game isn't perfect. So where did Traveler's Tales miss with its latest entry into the LEGO franchise? Well, for starters, most reviews point to the fact that the Skywalker Saga doesn't come with an online co-op mode. Obviously, this is a huge miss, especially in this day and age where literally everyone's playing online. It kind of makes TT's decision to only have couch co-op even more puzzling, because even after 2 years of the pandemic, people still aren't fully comfortable hanging out like that. However, the vast majority of critics also singled out the game's excessive focus on collectibles. You see, while it's true that people love secrets and collectibles, the real problem arises when the game is littered with too many of them. And this game, despite all of its dense worlds, just has way too many things to collect. Of course, the devs do know what they're doing, and putting these things in the game adds longevity to it. With that said, is it really worth the effort when most of it ends up being meaningless? Probably not. Now onto the bugs and performance issues that plague LEGO Star Wars. With such a long delay, you'd think that TT would have worked out all the bugs and glitches in the game. In reality though, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is one of the buggiest games we've seen this year, which is a total bummer. Everyone who pre-ordered the game got a broken mess on launch day. And even though the developers pushed out a lot of patches and updates to fix these issues, they're still not quite what you'd expect from a AAA game. Having said that, the biggest issue with this game doesn't lie in its game-breaking glitches. In fact, some of them can even be funny at times. Like, I mean, who doesn't want to see Jar Jar Binks get launched into outer space with just a little bonk?
We saw in big space doodle this time, right? Exactamundo.
The real issue with LEGO Star Wars is its frankly horrible performance. For some reason, the game just refuses to run well, even on the highest NPCs. Stutters, random frame drops, and straight-up crashes. You name it, this game probably has it. Thankfully, though, these performance issues are only limited to the PC version of the game, and the console ports are actually pretty playable for the most part. It's still kind of baffling how bad the optimization is, though, and the game isn't exactly pushing Crysis-like graphics. Finally, it's still a Game of the Year contender. Even with all of its flaws and performance issues, many people still think that the new LEGO Star Wars deserves to be in the Game of the Year conversation. Yup, this is not a drill. We actually have a LEGO game that's being added into the mix for these discussions. Yeah, we know it's too early to call this since we're still in May and there's plenty more to come during the year, but honestly, all this praise is thoroughly deserved. Not only is this the biggest step forward for a LEGO Star Wars game, but it's a building block for all future games in the LEGO franchise. This game and its appeal will fundamentally change how TT Games develops things for other IPs. Plus, it'll also make the publisher think twice about rushing a game out to meet an arbitrary deadline. Now, of course, there's a big difference between being in the conversation for Game of the Year and actually winning the award. The truth is, games like Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West are probably going to sweep all those awards away at the end of the year, especially after Starfield's delay. And at the end of the day, though, the reality is that no one thought a LEGO game could even reach such a mainstream appeal, let alone be considered for awards. So, Traveler's Tales deserves all the kudos and praise for delivering an experience that fans are probably going to talk about for years to come. What do you think, though? Does LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga deserve all the positive reception it's getting, or is it an overrated game? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. See you in the next one.